Hey all, welcome back. Right now we're going to talk about block and head prep. You can see I've got several blocks and heads piling up. We've already bead blasted them, we're blowing out the holes. Now we're going to get into the tapping procedure. We like to tap every single bolt hole on the block and the head, whether we use them or not. One, obviously for appearance. But two, when we go to assemble the block or the head, we want to make sure the bolts go in easy. If there's any issues with threads or screwed up bolt holes, we need to know about it now before we get into a final assembly and we realize we need a helicoil or something of the nature. I've got my tools laid out that I use. You'll notice right away, I've been called lazy a few times. May or may not be true, but I do not like to tap any of the things by hand. I do like my drills and little impacts to get everything tapped and cleaned up. I've got the taps laid out, handwritten for your reference, but we'll go over where they go right now. The M6 by 1.0 is going to handle any and all holes that require the 10mm bolt. When we're doing alternator brackets, head studs, etc., anything that will require a 12mm or in some cases a 13mm bolt or wrench, we use the M8 by 1.25. Here's where it gets a little tricky. You'll notice we've got an M10 by 1.25 and an M10 by 1.5. We need to make sure we never get these mixed up. The M10 by 1.25 is for all of the bolt holes on the exterior of the block that require a 14mm bolt. So that means the front, side, and the back, the transmission bolt hole, these are all M10 by 1.25. The only area where we use an M10 by 1.5 is for the head bolt holes and the main cap holes. We need to make sure we never, ever get the M10 1.25 mixed up with the M10 1.5. If we were to tap all the holes on the exterior of the block with a M10 1.5, would essentially render them useless, and we'd have a lot of helicoil work to do. And ultimately vice versa. If we run an M10 1.25 in the M10 1.5 hole, we're just going to screw up the threads. I'm going to go to it. I'm going to let you guys watch me work. Again, we're going to use the drills for every single hole. I have used WD-40 to lubricate all the holes initially. We definitely don't want to tap a dry hole, so a little bit of oil, a little bit of lubrication goes a long way. Again, I've already done that just for the sake of time. Quickly, the other items we're going to be using, I've got a little ball hone. When we get around to doing the cylinder heads, you'll notice we use this on the cam line. I like to touch the cam line just to reinstate a swirl pattern, but just ultimately clean it up, make sure she's nice and dandy. The drill I use for majority is my Snap-on 18 volt. When I'm doing the M6 bolt holes, we can use the smaller drill, but unfortunately the small drill just doesn't have enough oomph to get the M8s or the M10 holes. We've got our little die grinder with the 3M roll-lock disc. That's going to be to polish off the bolt bosses, and you'll see me do that in a little while. I've got batteries on the charger and hopefully a fresh battery in the gun, so we're going to get to work. Again, we're going to start with the M10 1.25. If you're using a big drill for this procedure, I definitely recommend you use the clutch. set it at 18 or 19. We definitely want to make sure we get down to the bottom, but we sure as hell want to make sure that we don't go through the bottom. You notice I've got a wire brush here, and I do have my compressed air handy. Your tap is going to get a little gunked up, being as that we've got WD-40 and also we're removing product. Quick little spin and some air off will clean out the tap just fine. If you end up needing to use the wire brush to clean the threads, is what it is. Okay, I've tapped all the M10 1.25. We're going to switch over now to the M10 1.5, and we're going to do some head bolt holes. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this battery wasn't fully charged. I'm going to swap batteries.